The Legacy of English Pugilism, a comprehensive exploration. English pugilism, often referred to as bare-knuckle boxing, holds a storied and captivating history within the annals of combat sport. Emerging in the taverns and streets of 18th century England, this primal form of pugilism was characterized by its raw intensity and unforgiving nature. In this exploration, we delve into the rich tapestry of this bygone era, highlighting the legendary figures, techniques, and cultural influence that shaped the landscape of English pugilism. The origins and evolution. The origins of pugilism or boxing can be traced back thousands of years to the earliest evidence of boxing-like sports dates back to ancient civilizations such as Mesopotamia, Egypt, and Minoan Crete, where depictions of fistfighters have been found. However, modern English boxing, as we know it today, began to take shape in the 18th and 19th century. During this time, boxing matches were often brutal and lacked any formal rule. Fighters would compete bare-knuckled in bouts that sometimes lasted for hours, with little regard for safety or sportsmanship. One of the key figures in the evolution of English pugilism was James Figg, who is often credited as the first recognised champion of boxing. Figg operated a successful boxing academy in London's Tottenham Court Road in the early 18th century and fought in numerous high-profile matches. In the 19th century, boxing began to gain more widespread popularity, particularly among the working classes in England. The sport became more organised with the introduction of some formal rules and the establishment of boxing clubs and associations. The Marquess of Queensberry rules, published in 1867, were a significant milestone in the development of modern boxing. These rules, which included provisions such as the use of padded gloves, standardised ring sizes, and the prohibition of wrestling and other unsportsmanlike tactics, helped to make boxing safer and more regulated. Throughout the 20th century, pugilism continued to evolve with the establishment of professional governing bodies, such as the British Boxing Board of Control, and the growth of international competitions such as the Olympic Games and World Championship bouts. Today, boxing in its modern form remains a popular sport with a rich history and dedicated following. While the sport has evolved significantly since its early days, it continues to captivate audiences with its mix of athleticism, strategy, and raw excitement. James Figg, the father of boxing. James Figg indeed stands out as a pivotal figure in the early history of English pugilism, earning him the well-deserved title of the father of boxing. Figg's contributions to the sport were significant, shaping its early development and setting a standard for future generations of boxers. Figg was born in Thame, Oxfordshire, England, around 1684. He began his career as a prizefighter in the early 18th century, at a time when boxing lacked the formal rules and regulations that would later come to define the sport. Figg's fighting style was formidable and versatile, incorporating a range of techniques beyond mere punching. In addition to his skills with fists, Figg was known for his proficiency in other combat techniques, such as kicking, wrestling, and even headbutting. This made him a formidable opponent capable of adapting to different fighting styles and tactics. Figg's prowess as a fighter earned him widespread recognition and fame during his time, and showcased his own skills in high-profile matches. One of Figg's most famous bouts took place in 1719 when he fought Ned Sutton, a renowned wrestler, in a contest that lasted more than an hour. Figg emerged victorious, solidifying his reputation as one of the greatest fighters of his era. James Figg's legacy as the father of boxing endures to this day. His contributions to the sport laid the groundwork for its growth and evolution, setting a standard of excellence that continues to inspire boxers around the world. Ben Brain and Jack Slack, icons of ferocity. Jack Slack, often referred to as the Norfolk Butcher, was a notable English bare-knuckle boxer who competed during the 18th century, Slack was known for his aggressive style and formidable punching power. He gained fame for his victories in numerous prize fights, earning him a reputation as one of the toughest fighters of his time. Slack's most famous bout was against the renowned pugilist Bill Broughton in 1750, which he won decisively. His success in the ring made him a celebrated figure in the world of bare-knuckle boxing, and he is the inventor of the chopper blow in pugilism. Ben Brain was another prominent figure in English pugilism during the 18th century. He was known for his exceptional skill and agility in the ring, as well as his strategic approach to fighting. Brain's fighting style was characterized by his ability to outmaneuver opponents and capitalize on their weaknesses. He competed in numerous prize fights throughout his career, facing off against some of the toughest fighters of his time. Brain's legacy as a skilled and tactical pugilist has earned him a place among the notable figures of early English pugilism. Both Jack Slack and Ben Brain were significant figures in the history of English pugilism, known for their exceptional talent and aggressiveness, and achievements during the formative years of the sport. Jack Broughton, the architect of rules. Jack Broughton was a prominent figure in the early history of English pugilism and a student of James Figg, known for his contributions to the sport as both a fighter and a promoter of safety measures. Born in 1704, in England, Jack Broughton began his career as a prize fighter in the early 18th century. He quickly gained fame for his skill in the ring and became one of the top fighters of his era. Broughton was known for his powerful punching and strategic approach to fighting. One of the most significant contributions of Jack Broughton to the sport of boxing was the development of a set of rules known as Broughton's rules. These rules, established in the mid-18th century, were among the earliest attempts to introduce regulations and safety measures to pugilism matches. Broughton's rules included provisions such as the use of padded gloves, the introduction of a 30-second count for fallen fighters, and the prohibition of certain dangerous tactics such as hitting an opponent when he was down, and these rules helped to make boxing safer and more organised, laying the groundwork for the Marquis of Queensberry rules that would be established later in the 19th century. Broughton fought Jack Slack, but Broughton was much older than Slack and he took a very bad beating from Slack and had both his eyes closed during the fight. In addition to his contributions to the regulation of pugilism, Jack Broughton was also instrumental in the development of pugilism as a spectator sport. He operated a successful boxing amphitheatre in London, where he promoted and hosted numerous high-profile bouts. Jack Broughton's legacy as a pioneering figure in the world of boxing endures to this day. His rules and contributions to the sport helped to shape the early development and establish a foundation for the organised, regulated sport of boxing that we know today. Techniques and tactics. English pugilism was not merely a contest of strength and endurance, but also a display of skill and strategy. Fighters employed a wide array of techniques, ranging from basic punches to more advanced manoeuvres like throws and joint lock. We don't know that much about the diets they followed. We can only guess, but as a lot of reports from the time describe the pugilists as fit and strong, they must have eaten reasonably well. Punching techniques. At the core of English pugilism were the fundamental punching techniques, including straight punches, hooks, and uppercut. Fighters trained tirelessly to hone their punching skills, with each blow delivered with maximum force and precision. These pugilists of old worked from the long guard, which allowed the fighter to maintain a good amount of distance from his opponent. Bag work and other training devices were used to train the pugilists, and lots of sparring. In some gyms they fought instead of sparring, so every time one got to practice they actually were fighting. Some pugilists, such as Tom Cribb, hardened their hands using things like walnut juice and or punching objects. Tom Cribb himself used to harden his hands by punching trees and removing the bark with his punches. Kicking and elbow strikes. In addition to punching, fighters were known to utilise kicks and elbow strikes to gain an advantage in the ring. These techniques added an extra dimension to the combat, requiring practitioners to be proficient in both striking and grappling, using front kicks to the liver, the breadbasket, the chest and under the chin. These front kicks utilised the toe section of the shoes for better penetration into the body to cause as much trauma as possible. Elbows were used in variations, so a pugilist would expect to be hit by elbow strikes coming from all angles. These were close-in techniques and required a lot of training to get right. Wrestling and throws. Pugilism encompassed more than just striking. It also incorporated elements of wrestling and grappling. Fighters would engage in clinches, vying for superior position to execute throws and takedowns, such as the cross buttock, a technique favoured by many pugilists of the era. Other throws were used during these matches, such as the flying mare and reaping attacks. Chancery was also a good move, but to make chancery effective, the pugilist would take his outside leg and step around, bringing the opponent to the ground and then start fibbing. There are, of course, escapes from all of these holds, and the pugilists trained them all. Defence and counterpunching. Central to the art of pugilism was the ability to defend oneself against incoming attacks and effectively counter with precision strikes. Fighters like Daniel Mendoza revolutionised the sport with their scientific approach to defence, emphasising footwork, head movement and strategic positioning. Footwork was an essential part of the training. Good footwork could mean the winning of the match. Bad footwork could get you really hurt. Also, rudimentary body movement that later became slipping and ducking was used. Cultural influence. Pugilism had several cultural influences that extended beyond the sport itself, shaping various aspects of society during the 18th and 19th centuries. Social cohesion. Pugilistic matches served as social events, bringing together people from different social classes to watch and wager on fights that helped foster a sense of community and camaraderie among spectators. Pugilism was a popular subject in literature, art and popular culture of the time. Writers and artists depicted pugilistic matches in poems, novels, paintings and prints, immortalising the sport and its heroes. Successful boxers were celebrated as heroes and symbols of strength, courage and masculinity. Fighters like James Figg, Broughton and Daniel Mendoza became household names and were idolised by fans. Despite its violent nature, pugilism was often portrayed as a test of character and virtue. Fighters were expected to display sportsmanship, honour and integrity in the ring, and their behaviour served as moral lessons for society. Pugilism attire and equipment influenced fashion trends of the time. The distinctive attire worn by fighters, such as knee-length breeches and bare torsos, became fashionable among young men, reflecting the sport's influence on style. National identity. Pugilism played a role in shaping national identity and pride, particularly in England. Successful English boxers were seen as symbols of strength and prowess, contributing to a sense of national pride. The popularity of pugilism contributed to the growth of spectator sports. More broadly, pugilistic matches drew large crowds and paved the way for the development of organised sports leagues and competitions in other disciplines. Concerns about the violence and brutality of early boxing matches led to calls for regulation and reform. This ultimately led to the establishment of rules and safety measures, laying the foundation for the modern sport of boxing. Overall, pugilism had a significant impact on society and culture, influencing everything from art and literature to fashion and national identity. It reflected and shaped the values, attitudes and aspirations of the communities in which it thrived. Tavern culture and spectatorship. Taverns and sporting areas of all kinds served as the epicentres of pugilistic culture, where spectators would gather to witness the spectacle of bare-knuckle brawls. These raucous gatherings provided an outlet for both entertainment and socialisation, with bets wagered and reputations on the line. Aristocratic patronage. While pugilism was often associated with the working classes, it also found favour among the aristocracy, who saw it as a test of strength and character. Wealthy patrons would sponsor fighters, providing financial support in exchange for glory and prestige in the ring. Some gentlemen even attended the pugilistic gyms or salon. One of those men was Lord Byron. The pugilism of Old England was a very dangerous fighting art, and it was learned by and taught by working class men. Folklore and mythology. The legends of English pugilism are steeped in folklore and mythology, with tales of epic battles and larger-than-life characters passed down through the generations. These stories capture the imagination, immortalising the heroes and villains of the ring in the annals of history. In popular culture, one such book is Poe Must Die by Mark Alden. Legacy and impact. The legends and impact of pugilism in England are profound, shaping various aspects of society, culture and sport. Throughout history, here are some of the key elements of its legacy. Pugilism, particularly bare-knuckle boxing, holds a significant place in English cultural history. The sport's early heroes such as James Figg, Jack Broughton and Tom Cribb are celebrated figures in English folklore and literature, immortalised in stories, poems and songs. Despite its violent nature, pugilism was often seen as a test of character and virtue. Fighters were expected to display sportsmanship, honour and integrity in the ring, embodying values such as courage, perseverance and fair play. Concerns about the brutality and lack of safety in early pugilistic matches led to calls for regulation and reform. This ultimately led to the establishment of formal rules, safety measures and governing bodies for the sport, paving the way for the development of modern boxing. Physical fitness and discipline. Pugilism's emphasis on physical fitness, discipline and mental toughness has contributed to its enduring popularity as a form of exercise and training. The legacy of pugilism in England is multifaceted, encompassing cultural, social and sporting dimensions. It remains an enduring part of English identity and heritage, continuing to resonate with people around the world who are drawn to its history, traditions and values. Ethical considerations. While the brutality of bare-knuckle boxing may seem antiquated by modern standards, it is essential to recognise the cultural context in which it emerged. English pugilism was a product of its time, shaped by societal norms and values that may differ from our own. No longer are hard men the norm. Pugilism stands as a testament to the indomitable spirit of men, a primal expression of strength, skill and courage in the face of adversity. From the taverns of 18th century England to the arenas of the modern world, its legacy endures as a reminder of the enduring power of the human will. As we look back on this bygone era, let us not only celebrate the achievements of the fighters, but also learn from their triumphs and tribulation, carrying forward the lessons of English pugilism into the future.